Readers, I know. You know what I'm going to say. I am so excited for today's reading lesson. Yesterday we talked a little bit about debating. Now today you're going to have the opportunity to try it in your book clubs, and I can't wait for you to unlock some really powerful things about your books. Before you get started in your book clubs, I want to share today's learning target. You should be able to choose a view or opinion about your text and then defend it in a debate. Before you get started on this, I thought it would be helpful to see an example of some student jots where they were carefully writing jots with the lens of coming back and defending or debating things about the topic. I'm sorry, not the topic, the book. So you can see in this student example from Stargirl that Hillary Kimball is jealous of Stargirl. That is the idea or the topic that this student wants to debate. Obviously, there's clearly two sides to this. Yes, she's jealous, or no, she's not. And this student worked to collect 3 pieces of evidence for both sides. She did not choose a side. She gathered evidence for both sides. Now, if we look at Home of the Brave, yesterday we talked about using the idea that Minnesota is a good place for Keck. I've gathered some evidence to support the idea that Minnesota really is a great place for Keck right now in his life. Some things that I wrote down was that Keck can live with the family he has left. He gets to go to school, a real school, not the school like in his camp. And Keck is a lot safer in America in comparison to his home country. There are not bad men with guns in America, at least in this town. And then finally, Keck is learning new things that he never would have learned had he stayed in his country in the continent of Africa. We still don't know what country, but anyways, those are 4 pieces of evidence that I've pulled out from the text. Now I want you to turn and talk with your neighbors. I'm sorry, not your neighbors, your reading partners, about some pieces of evidence that would be a con or proving that Minnesota is not a good place for Keck. So turn and talk and gather at least 4 pieces of evidence. Okay, readers, that's enough turning and talking. You can go ahead and pause the video and share some ideas. Feel free to add it to the slides if you're ready to do that, or write it on the whiteboard beside the smartboard. Good luck in your conversation. Okay, now that you've gotten to share your con list for our debatable topic about Home of the Brave, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about thinking stems that you can be using in your debates today for book club. When we debate, we can start our debate by saying, I take the position that Keck really should stay here in America because it is a good place for him right now. My first reason is, that's my second thinking stem, is that Keck really is able to learn so much more because he has access to a quality school here in America. My evidence for this is when he walks into his classroom, I'm getting ahead of myself, before he even walks into the classroom, as he's pulling up to the school, he looks at the building and says, oh my goodness, this is a building for men, not of young children to learn their numbers. So that in and of itself says that this is so much more than what he would have in his country in Africa. My second reason is that Kek is able to live with family members that are still alive. In Africa, I know that he feels that his mom is still alive in his heart, but he doesn't know where she is. So if he was in his home country in Africa or a refugee somewhere else in another country in Africa, he would have a very hard time finding his mother if he ever could. At least he's living with his aunt and his cousin Gangwar. Some evidence to support what I'm thinking is we can see that relationship rebuilding with Gangwar the night that he woke up in his sleep and said, Gangwar, are you awake? And they started sharing how they were feeling about what had happened in Africa. I think that building relationship will be really important for Kek, and without it, he may not be able to work through the difficult things that he saw and had to deal with in Africa. So, students, obviously you know I've read this book a lot, so it was fairly easy for me to come up with evidence and share my thinking about that evidence. Please do not think that that is the expectation for today, but I would love to encourage you to use these thinking prompts as you are speaking out loud and debating together. I'm hoping that by keeping this slide up on the smartboard as you debate, you can go ahead and reference them and use them to push your thinking forward. Now, I know I'm not here with you, but I would really love for you to try practicing the opposite side of this argument together with a partner, and you can work to build that side's debate up together. I'll give you about 1.5 to 2 minutes to do this. Okay, now before I send you off to try this with your book clubs, I want you to remember a few things. Hopefully you're coming to book club with lots of different ideas about your book club book. And you need to remember that a difference in opinion is a good thing because it's going to spark a debate. And you should embrace the moment to be able to debate this opinion that you have. Each person will have the opportunity to say their claim and support it with evidence, just as we did in this slide here. And then after each person is finished stating their claim and supporting it with evidence, other group members can begin to build off of what those students are saying. Now, it is important that if someone is speaking, you are not interrupting. We need to remember that we need to speak with kindness, and we have to be careful of how we say things. Debates are not competitions, but a way for us to consider another point of view and to grow our thinking even deeper about texts. So if we're working under that paradigm, that piece of competition should feel more like a friendly debate instead of an all-out battle. Remember, the goal is to add to the conversation, but not interrupt. Good luck, and I will see you at share time.